In this video, I'm going to give you some ways to find out how much is enough for you. This is so important because it's much harder to reach financial independence if we don't know what our enough is. Enough is where we can find more peace in our life, and it's where we're going to have enough to be content or happy, but not too much where we stop being grateful for the things that we do have. And if you can find your enough, then that's going to lead to true wealth. There's a really great quote in a book called Enough: True Measures of Money, Business, and Life, and it's by John Bogle. And the quote is, "At a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island, Kurt Vonnegut informs his pal, Joseph Heller, that the host, a hedge fund manager, had made more money in a single day than Heller had earned for his wildly popular novel, Catch-22, over its whole history. Heller responds, 'Yes, but I've got something that he'll never have, enough.'" So enough is going to be different for everyone, but I'll go over some ways where you could find yours. But first, welcome back. If I haven't met you yet, though, I'm Dave Zoller, and I run a wealth management firm, Streamline Financial, with my business partner, Tim, and we help people plan for and live their ideal retirement. We've had to slow down the number of free planning calls that we can have each week, but we do still make a few spots open for a different kind of meeting. And if you need help with exploring various charitable giving strategies that are available today, or if you're looking to maximize the dollars that are going to causes or charities that you care about, or minimize the dollars that are going to the government, look in the description to request a 20-minute philanthropic strategy session. This isn't a call to become a client. We just want to spread the word about some of these little known strategies that people who are generous or those who wish to be generous can be using. So in order to find your enough, I believe that we can do this, and it's best illustrated in a way that looks like this. This is a chart that shows the relationship between the money that we spend and the fulfillment we receive from it. And we all follow the same curve, but the dollar amounts are different for each person. And this comes from the book, Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robinson. And it really just represents life satisfaction that you get in return for each dollar that you spend. So the first point here is called the survive point or survival point. And this is where you get a lot of fulfillment for every dollar that you spend, because we're spending it on things that are necessities like physical needs or food, water, or shelter. The next level is when you start to spend more and your fulfillment level grows equally, and it gets to this point, which is the comfort level. These are the things that make life enjoyable. So your spending is growing, and then your fulfillment is growing equally to that as well. And then we get to a point up here, and this is where it gets interesting. This is where we get to the luxury level. And you and I can both agree that luxuries we have are fun and well worth it, but this is where the curve also starts to flatten out. So this is your enough point. Up to this point, every dollar you spend increased your level of satisfaction and fulfillment, but after this point is where your satisfaction level starts to level off or decrease. And you might be thinking, that can never be true for me. That wouldn't happen to me, but I'll prove it to you. Just stay with me for a little bit longer. You start to spend money on things that you don't need or use, and this starts to decrease fulfillment because everything you buy will start to take up more mental space or more physical space, but the return on satisfaction is low. And what ends up happening is more complexity and more responsibility and really added on stress. And it could even mean poor stewardship for what we're managing. There are a lot of people who we've met who've actually achieved this level of enough, but they just don't know it yet. I was listening to an author, and he was writing a book on the relationship between money and happiness, and he interviewed dozens of people, and we would assume them, or we would think that they were wealthy. He started by asking a friend who had over $1 million in investments in the bank, "Do you feel rich?" And the friend said, "No, because I don't have $10 million yet." The author then interviewed a woman who had $10 million and asked, "Do you feel rich?" She said, "No, because I don't have a private jet yet." And then he asked a man who had a private jet, and he asked, "Do you feel rich?" He said, "No, because this jet is only a 6-seater, and I could get a 12-seater or 20-seater. So that sounds silly, but it really relates to you and I, because if we don't define where our goalposts are or what we're aiming for, it's always going to be out of reach, right? I'm sure you can relate, and it might just be the way that we're designed, human nature, to always want to achieve the next level. But if we could find our enough, we'll start to live a truly wealthy life. So here are some ways we can find it. But first, if you're liking this video so far, please like the video so YouTube can recommend it to other people, and maybe they can get helped by this video too. So to find our enough, we first need to start with something that's boring, but it's evaluating where our current expenses are, right? Mint.com, mint.com could be a good resource to help you do this automatically and easily. It might be boring, but it's crucial to finding your enough. Then we want to make sure that we know what our values are, and we need to define the things that are most important to us. And we do this because when our values become clear, then money decisions become easier. we can quickly realize if our expenses line up with our values. For example, if health was important to me, then a purchase of a $2,000 exercise bike might be in line with my values. That's a lot of money, but maybe it's in line with my values. Whereas a $1,000 new TV might not be. But then my neighbor who has different values than me, he might think that $2,000 for an exercise bike is ridiculous because it doesn't line up with the things that he values most. So everybody's different and everyone has different values, so knowing yours and how they match up with your expenses is important. If you need help refining your values, I'm going to put a one-page worksheet in the resources page with a link below so you can get that. So if we've defined our values and aligned our expenses, now we must look at the fulfillment curve and start guessing at what our peak fulfillment point would be on that chart that we looked at. The place where you have what you need, and the place where you can buy a few luxuries that align with your values, but not so much where you start to overcomplicate your life. Many people think that this is a lump sum number, maybe first when you're thinking about what your enough is, but it might be easier to think of it as an income number, meaning how much would be enough to be coming into the bank each month without you having to actively work for it, and then work backwards to see how much in assets you need to provide that income. One important thing to remember is that you're enough right now. Your income and your assets don't make you enough. Yes, we have to figure out the money stuff because the world uses it, but I'm sure you've heard like the jet example. There's very rich people who never feel like they are enough or have enough because they're looking for more money to prove it. And the sad thing is I don't know if they'll ever get there. So none of it's easy, but I hope this visual and the video helped you think about this idea of enough in a different way. If you liked it, please share the video with someone that you care about. And if you or someone you know brings up charitable giving thoughts or questions or ideas, and it's related to maybe appreciated assets, real estate, or business interest, look in the link below for a free 20-minute planning session. Thank you and take care.